This is Jonah Hill, and you're listening to the only podcast that matters.
Bro Gang, we are joined by the Sultan of the Side Zip, the newest citizen of the post-sneaker world, vision forward but the fitted backwards, Escobar season has returned, the superintendent of sweats, the hoodie head honcho, call him Dennis Schroeder because all he does is serve LeBron assists, the French terry cloth king, money long but the game shorts, executive producer of 808s and Heartbreaks, Don Dada of the Design District. The only L's he ever took are the two in his name, designer John Elliott. John, how you doing?
Oh my goodness, yo. How do I top that? I am great. Thank you for having me.
You don't need to top it because that's our job, John.
Yeah,
you just get to chill and hang out now that we've got you settled in. And you mentioned this a bit before we started, but talk about a long time fucking coming, dog.
Man, you know? I mean, I've known you guys for my entire career doing
for
this.
Your whole life. We were there when you were born.
Literally, you guys are like the first people that I met at Complex like 10 years ago. So this has been to watch what you guys have done as well. Like huge congratulations to you guys and the following that you guys have, taken very like in different places and held on to. Like huge congratulations to you guys. I've been following as well. So it's been cool to, kind of do this together.
We're just happy to be here.
Pales in comparison to your meteoric rise where you were pitching Matthew Henson on hoodies that you had been selling out of, or not selling, but selling orders out of your backpack at like Magic and Agenda. And then you're like, yo, thank you for letting me into Complex. And then I'm just fucking writing listicles next to Matthew Henson. Shout out to God. So let's talk about
us now. You're you're a fashion impresario. You've got this whole fucking situation and we lost our jobs and now we podcast full time. So.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is, bro.
So you just came on the show to flex on us for 2 hours under the guise of being a fucking, benevolent overlord. Yeah. But John, the first thing we want to do is we want to do a fit check with you where you are going to walk the audience at home through the totality of your fit, which I assume would be like full JE because like this is a bit of an infomercial for you, this segment of the pod, but we'll leave that up to you. The choice for you, sir, is do you want to start top down or bottom up?
I'll start bottom up for sure.
Okay, correct. Well done.
Like, yeah. I mean, bottom up is like how you have to start, right?
Is that how you get dressed? Are you like a foundational dresser where you start with kicks or?
I mean, nowadays, like I have a uniform, I would say. And so I don't put as much thought into it as if I'm in New York, like I'm thinking about how I'm dressing, I'm in LA, like, I'm in my car and I'm going to the office. I will test things and I will experiment. But for the most part, when it's like a busy day, I just stick to the uniform. So like right now it's just, I'm wearing Cool Gray Edition 1, our new runners.
Nice.
Made in Italy, the runner. Our new slub socks, Skittles.
Oh, yeah. Thanks for the socks, by the way. James and I believe I'm wearing a pair right now. These shits are motherfucking toasty, dog.
Yeah, they're great, right? They're great.
All three of mine are in the hamper right now because I wore them off rip.
I appreciate it. It's slub socks, Skittles. Skittles is our Cast 2 fit that I've been wearing for like probably 6 years. A new t-shirt that I haven't released yet that I'm experimenting with, kind of like oversized, thick rib, kind of like a big tee. And then just like a surplus thermal that also hasn't dropped yet, but will be coming out in fall. So, this is like 2 pieces, the tee and the thermal. Like I always kind of like design things together. So that they like will work together. And these are 2 things that I've been working on for the fall.
Do you wear test a lot, like all your shit? Is that like one of the most fun parts of the job? Like doing this like R&D where you're like, I'm the only guy who has the big T and the new thermal. And I'm like, testing it out on some Neil Armstrong shit.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think, the thing about me is, I didn't go to design school. So, and I apprenticed under Simon Miller. But but I didn't, that was like really like a hardcore kind of like intro into the denim world. So I didn't necessarily like have like this like esoteric, like I want to create like this
art,
for this
wearable
this
art
person. It was more just always like solving my own problems. So, and I still take that approach now. I'm like, I want this with this. I want to like really experiment with like extreme differences in length. And lately I'm kind of interested in like, two different textures or two different weights of fabric. But, I do kind of always take a denim approach to everything I do. So like, I think that's why the French Terry program took off like early days. When we first launched the brand, it was denim, jersey, and French Terry. And I really thought that denim was going to be the hero of the offering. Right. And the French Terry is what really took off. And I think it was because we took like this denim approach to French Terry.
And when you say denim approach, does that mean, is that like fabric first? Is that what you kind of mean? Or what do you say when you say denim approach, what do you mean?
I mean, it's everything. It's a heavy, it's when I say denim approach, I mean like, 2008, right? Like coming out of like that post-recession era, I feel like guys really kind of started to like look at their closet. And I feel like a lot of people felt like they had been kind of burnt by contemporary brands, that contemporary denim market. I bet you guys would look at like what they had in their closet and think about all the embellished back pockets and shit.
Right. Oh. It was like the metrosexual wave. I was going crazy. Like crested. Yeah.
I was going crazy my Robins.
Yes. Yeah, exactly.
You and Chief Keef, bro.
Yeah, exactly. And so I feel like, coming out of that, people kind of really started to dive into this like Americana, like wear your personality into your denim. And coming out of that was when I was apprenticing with Simon. And so it was very much about like either authentically breaking in raw denim or trying to achieve washes that looked like they were, kind of like from that APC Butler program.
Right.
So when I say like taking a denim approach to French Terry, I think it has everything. It's all encompassing. It's a heavyweight fabric. It's, stitching details that are unique and will hold up over time. And then it's like thinking about how the garment will wear. So it's like creating silhouettes that like, have intention, whether it's like, if it's meant to be oversized, then there should be like a length disparity between like, a crop and what a t-shirt will look like underneath it, or early days, like a slimness. So like for the Escobar, for example, it was supposed to be super, super slim when you first get it, knowing that over time, gradually it will, start to relax and fit a little bit looser, but, still hold up. So it was kind of like taking this approach that is really found in most like denim kind of manufacturers and applying that to not only French Terry, but also jersey as well.
Are you wearing your sweatshirt, working our way up the fit? Is that jersey or is that French Terry? What do you have on today?
This is thermal. So it's
that's the thermal. Got it.
Yeah, it's a surplus thermal. So and it's just like,
it looks thick as fuck on Zoom. It doesn't even looks more like a sweatshirt.
It is. It's like, it's a 16 ounce thermal. It's like the heaviest gauge thermal that we can knit in LA.
Okay.
And it's like, it'll like break needles. Like it'll break needles in a circular machine.
Right.
And then, it's like, but this is what
I wear that to your vaccine appointment.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. I'm hoping to get that vax soon, man.
You and me both, brother.
Yeah.
And then the piece de resistance.
The crown, dude.
Bro. I mean, I got the Yankees lid on. I mean, my grandfather took me to Yankee Stadium when I was in 8th grade, and he's an Italian guy. And, I grew up in San Francisco, and he was like, look, I know your dad raised you to be a Giants fan, but this is Mecca. He's like, you travel around the world. He's like, nobody is going to know the San Francisco Giants. He's like, everyone in the world knows the New York Yankees. And he bought me a Yankee hat, and that had just kind of been the move.
Right. John, a few questions. How many Yankee fitteds do you own at any given point in time?
Yeah. What's the rotation?
I mean, bro, so I moved. I moved like back in October, and it was, I'm talking like hundreds.
Why?
So many.
Why?
I mean, because you just, they all have nuances in the fit. So you find like one that you like, you rock it for like a week or 2 weeks, and you
have like a black tie fitted.
You know what I do? That's secret about mine is I unpick the New Era sign on the side. So I'll sit and literally unpick that shit.
on every single one.
No free advertising.
I mean, now I found a tailor shop that'll do it for me. And like the first time I did it, she was like, okay, $25. And I went back and she was like, the next one, it's going to be $75. That shit took me 3 hours. I was like, fair enough.
You're like, do you do bulk orders?
Yeah. Not only are you getting fleeced, but this woman thinks you are truly insane. So
yeah, exactly. She's like, why do you care about this?
Have you owned 1,000 Yankee hats in your lifetime?
I don't know. I mean, it's possible. It's so funny because like the people from my hometown, they'll get like sort of heated about it, especially after like a couple drinks. They're like, yo, why the fucking Yankees? And I'm like, it's the move. It's the only hat that matters.
What's your hat size? What's your fitted size?
7 in the 4th.
What does your hair look like? I don't know if anyone.
Let's see the cut. Oh, okay. He's fresh.
Known each other for years. This is the first time I'm seeing it.
Yeah. I mean, it's, still got it, but yeah. Just
give a permanent like mark. Like, right. Like, I guess you have the size dialed in so hard.
Yeah.
I mean, try to avoid it, right? Like when you do go on vacation, even though my wife is always begging me to put sunscreen on it, I'm trying to get zapped for the first couple of days.
And lest we forget to make it a complete fit check, what are the panties, John?
After 525,600 fitteds, what are the panties, bro?
These are actually mine as well. I'm working on underwear as well. So
nice.
These are in the R&D phase right now.
Yeah, R&D phase.
How are your boys feeling?
Yeah, how's your dick feel?
Wonderful.
How's the dick feel on these bad boys?
Are they boxer brief? What can you reveal? Are they boxers, boxer briefs?
We're like 6 minutes in and I'm already getting, how's my dick feeling?
Yo, what up, Mike? I know you're in the cut right now. Yo, Mike, how's your dick feel too? Let's ask all the homies, dude.
Yeah, that's what we're doing in 2021.
Yeah. Wait, is it a boxer brief, John, or is it a boxer? Like, what is it?
Brief. It's a boxer brief, and the boys are feeling great. Yeah,
we're gonna need some of those float our way for show.
As soon as I have some to send out, you guys can rest assured you will be on flow for this.
Yo, if you want some field testers, you got Lawrence, married dude, just fucking chilling on the couch binging. You got Jimmy. Jimbo the himbo putting in work in these streets, field testers.
I'm excited to get your guys' feedback. I'll send them out as soon as I get them.
I'm excited that we're only 6 minutes in and we got the episode title now, which is Dick Feel. So thank you very much, John. Appreciate you, man.
What about jewelry, John? I know you love the subtle jewels.
Yeah. So again, a bunch of my own stuff, but it's all twisted. So I wore like 5 chains at once, I think. Coming out of Paris, and I ran in them and they got all twisted up. And so they're all twisted up. I have like 2 crosses at like the side of my neck, like a 7 and like an onyx.
How long have they been twisted up?
Yeah, you can't untwist them. What's the deal?
I can, but I just haven't. I've left it. I've been wearing them straight for like almost 2 years now. But right before the pandemic, I went to Vegas because like 2 of my best friends, they got divorced and then they got remarried in Vegas, and my homie was on acid and we were in the club, and he was like we were gonna take like a group photo and he's like, yo, tuck your shit. And I'm like, what? He's like, tuck your chains, they look mad whack. I was like, what are you talking about?
You're on acid, bro. Shut up. You don't get to have an opinion.
I tucked him, and then I was out to dinner with him recently, and he was like, bro, I've always loved your chains. I love it. What the fuck are you talking about? I was like, bro, when we were in Vegas, you told me to tuck that shit.
Damn, dude.
I was on acid.
Yeah, he's a flip. Your boy's a bit of a flip flopper, bro.
Yeah, I guess he forgot. I'm not sure.
Any watches, John? Are you a watch guy?
Zero, nothing.
Really? Respect, dude. You don't see that a lot because I feel like guys at your level, and obviously this is case by case and everyone's different, but I feel like dudes will get like a I made it watch at various points of their career. Do you buy yourself little, like maybe it's another chain, or like are you more of like, oh, I'm gonna cop a whip to celebrate something? Like, is there anything besides fitteds, I guess is what I'm saying, that you would buy yourself to celebrate your career milestones?
That's a great question. I mean, honestly, nothing right now. I mean, I've always been pretty much like, let's keep reinvesting in the business. So I think at some point I'm like, oh, I'll do something. But right now it's like, honestly, no, I don't have like a good answer to that. Like, it's like expanding HQ. So we just like, our design studio is definitely improved mightily. Like, we just made massive improvements there.
You might want to work on the Wi-Fi. You might want to fix the Wi-Fi.
Yeah. Well, that's
the last item on the agenda.
We haven't gotten to that yet.
Damn, Throwing Fit should take a page out of the John Elliott school of thought. We had a financial scare today where we realized that we almost had $0 in the bank account because we withdrew way too much money to pay ourselves.
Yeah, we're celebrating for no reason versus being smart like John. And
but let's talk about some recent W's you just put up. John Elliott just launched in-house footwear. Right, you dropped the lace-up boot, which are fucking gas. I can personally test to that. You launched a Chelsea boot, a mule, and the runners that you're wearing. Which of the footwear that you launched is your favorite?
I mean, I probably worn the Chelsea the most. The speed lace-up is actually probably my favorite. Like it's like, it depends on where I'm at. Like, if I'm in my house, I'm gonna wear the mule, of course, like house slipper mode. But yeah, I mean, like when I was flying, like I wore the speed lace up in black. And yeah, it just depends on like where I'm going, but I will say that like having that offering to style with and to kind of like complete looks, it's a long time coming.
Sure.
We had done 4 shoes. I can't even remember how many colorways of those shoes with Nike.
Yeah.
And that was like a pretty incredible way to like understand how to design in 3 dimensions, because it's definitely different doing footwear versus like 2D designing in 2 dimensions for apparel. And getting to kind of like take some of those ideas and implement them into our own inline footwear. It's exciting. And then being able to complete looks like, and there's still more coming. Like, as you guys know, there's still a lot that hasn't dropped yet.
Right. James hasn't mentioned the loafer yet. Like, and that's fucking, I've got a pair of those. Those are crazy. Why so heavy in the non-sneaker categories? Like, was there what's the thought process there, John?
I think it's honestly like, we had done, like I said, we've done 4 shoes with Nike, and I think it's just where I was at. It was just what I wanted, it's like what I was drawn to. So like, the summer of 2019, like I started to wear loafers again. And it was like, okay, I actually am interested in trying to figure out what our language would be in like this style and how we could, make it fit within our wardrobe. And that
what loafers were you wearing at that time? Like, what were you like? Were you wearing Prada or like what kind of loafers? I'm actually really curious.
I was wearing a Prada loafer.
Okay.
And so it was like, how would I take this and make it like ours? What would I do to clean it up and to also kind of make it feel like even more sport? And so
throw a spoiler on that bitch. The vibes.
There's some D's on that shit.
The sole of the loafer that you have, Lawrence, that sole is actually, it's for motorcycle racing. So it's like super heavy. So it's kind of like counterintuitive. And when I first wanted to do a loafer out of that, the people in Italy, they were like, yo, this makes no sense. You shouldn't do it. And I was like, no, that's exactly why we should do it.
Yeah. Because they look fast as fuck aesthetically, but like you put it on, and part of the joy, what I really like about them is that they are so substantial, and it feels like it's honestly why I love a Gucci loafer. There's like actually some weight to that sole, at least the older models, I appreciate that. But I get what you're saying, where like it looks fast as fuck, but it's actually like diesel.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no, it's heavy as fuck. And so, and that's because that sole is intended for performance.
Right.
So I was like, okay, once I saw that, I was like, okay, this could work. And then from there, the loafer was kind of like the starting point. And from there, it was like, okay, like I wanted to do a derby. I wanted to bring back a creeper. We had done a creeper before. We had done kind of like a hiking boot. I wanted to push that. I felt like there was improvements that we could make there. And it was like that's where my mind was at. And then it was like, from a business standpoint, people were like, well, we should really be thinking about a basketball, like a sneaker. And I was like, I just was not interested in doing a sneaker. And I felt like, the runner was really kind of, that was something that I figured I could wear every day. So that was kind of, where I poured a lot of attention, I would say. But it's interesting because I got a trip in to Florence, literally like in the middle of February. I was in Florence from like February until like the end of February of last year. And I landed and I was like jet lag. My wife woke up and she's like, hey, the virus is like right where you were. And I was like, what are you talking about? Like I like woke up and she's like, that virus from China is in Italy, like in the towns that you were in. And it was very lucky that I got that trip in. Otherwise, I really think this program probably, it wouldn't be in existence right now.
How long front to back does it take for people listening at home that maybe that understand that like you're saying, designing in 3D is like this new challenge, but like how long does it take to design a proper shoe, a loafer or a boot? Like what from kind of like when you sketch it to when you like, have a sample and then when it's released, like what is that timeline, just generally speaking?
This whole program took I would say like a year and 7 months. So almost a little over a year and a half.
Crazy.
And the thing about it that I think has been eye-opening for me is I was kind of rushing it. We were going to do, we were preparing to do our first show in Paris for spring I guess that would be a spring summer show, spring summer 21. So that would have been like last year in June. And I was like, we were really sprinting on this program to get it ready for those shows, and having that extra time for this program was like such an eye-opening experience where it was like, man, maybe we need to rethink this. Like maybe
slow it down.
Maybe the calendar is not
your friends
serving us. Yeah. Exactly. So just having that extra time and having those extra turns to get the product to a level where it's at now, it gave it the ability to just be perfect. And I think moving forward, I'm like kind of applying that to the way I'm thinking about everything in terms of showing and launching collections.
I mean, John, it sounds like you're kind of, removing yourself a little bit from the hype cycle. And I wish I had some confetti. I wish we were there to, raise a glass to celebrate the fact that you are now a goddamn motherfucking member of the post-sneaker world, and we welcome you with open arms.
Yeah, buddy.
And to be clear, we're not saying that, the post-sneaker world is not anti-sneaker. We're just saying that here in the post-sneaker world, we appreciate and love and maybe are sexually attracted to shoes beyond just sneakers and beyond just the sneakers that fucking instantly sell out, get resold for like 10x, and then, create this bubble around artificial hype. I mean, how does it feel to be a part of the post-sneaker world, my guy?
I mean, it's funny because I think it's kind of happened just based off of being a part of this, like, I don't want to say like the cult, like being a part of it for so long. It's just natural, right? Like it's not, I'm not like, oh my God, I need this new like sneaker. Like, I feel like anyone who's probably listening to this podcast is probably past that point in their life.
Sure.
They
hopefully.
like, I would hope. I mean,
yeah. Well,
at this point, like, I think, especially being this deep into the pandemic, I think people have really had a chance to like spend enough time with themselves and figure out what, who they are and what speaks to them and how they want to represent themselves. And I hope that like, attaching yourself to like a hyped ass item, enough people will realize like that doesn't like check the box. That doesn't like make you an interesting individual.
That says nothing about who you are as a person or your personal style or even your taste level. Right. And that's the unfortunate reality in 2021.
I mean, the truth is at this point, if you're wearing that kind of stuff, I feel like it actually puts you in a box and kind of like puts you at a level where you kind of get removed from potentially having like a significant taste level.
Sure. John, do you buy sneakers? Because obviously, like, you probably are plugged up at like Nike and shit. Like, did you care about, you're a Jordan guy. I know you love like Jays. Are you more of like, I'm an 85 collector? Do you get hype about like the new releases yourself? Like as a fan, not so much as a designer, but like as a consumer yourself?
I mean, I definitely was able to track down the the white
natural gray or neutral gray, whatever.
Yeah. I got those. But other than that, that's probably the only pair of shoes that I've purchased.
How many 85s do you own? Like, you have a collection, right?
Yeah, I think I have 7 pairs.
Like in all different colors, or? Like,
yeah, I have the metallics in blue.
Yeah.
I have the cool grays. I've got like 3 pairs of Chicago's.
Do you wear those?
Yeah. I wear them, of course. Sick. I mean, I have a homie in Japan who's been living in Japan for 20 years. And he kind of started in on this. So I can't take credit for it, but
sure.
He was like, 85s are like natural resources. He's like, there's a finite amount. He's there's a limit, like, and he's like, so he's been kind of gobbling them up. So every once in a while, he'll be like, yo, check this out. And when he has something that is in my size and is interesting, I'll usually take it off his hands.
This motherfucker's like OPEC.
Yeah,
exactly.
Controlling the supply. Did you ever cop sneakers from that son of the Nike VP who ran the sneakers app?
Yeah, I'm gonna avoid that.
Herbert.
Well, yo,
shout out to Herbert.
Another fucking big W in the John Elliott universe is you're now the Don Dada of the Miami Design District. You just opened up your second shop there. We get it, New York City. You got to refine the craft before you come up here. We get it. But like, why did you choose
big leagues?
Why did you choose Miami to open up a new shop?
I mean, honestly, like, New York is very, very much on our radar. I would say that. Like, I definitely
make sure you put a fucking podcast studio in the back.
Yeah. We understand how important New York is, and we understand how important New York is for us. I'll start by saying that. Miami, I think when you think about the way we dress, the way the line is kind of assorted, honestly, the fact that, like, as we touched on in the beginning, I'm really designing for myself living in LA, and in terms of how that climate translates, like, it just made a ton of sense. When we looked at the kind of, cohorts that we were going to be able to be next to in Miami, I did a FaceTime with someone from the Miami Design District, and they just like walked us down the row, and it was like, okay, Chanel's opening here, and then here's Gucci, here's Bottega, here's Rick, Off-White, Stone Island, and this is where you guys would be. It was kind of, that put us in a spot where, that and the space was so beautiful that it was very, it was intriguing to be amongst those peers, as a young brand. Like, it was an opportunity that we couldn't say no to.
How much stake do you put in those adjacencies? Like, because, there's one train of thought that's like, yo, build it and they will come, release great product, obviously build this store out, like, it, like John's going to do, versus like, oh, it does matter who's in like the immediate vicinity. Like, how much stake do you put in, that crowd?
I think it depends on the market, honestly. Like, I think like in New York, where people know us and we have, I think, a real following, I think we could probably, we could take that route. I'm not sure if we will,
right,
but I think we could take that route where you kind of take a more obscure like location with the confidence of knowing that like most likely people will come.
The destination shop or whatever. Yeah,
exactly. But I think in Miami, Miami is like a different world, right? Like, you have so many international, like, tourists coming through Miami and going to the design district. It was both a opportunity to do real business and also introduce ourselves to a new customer. So
make
I think
a good first impression. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. And I think that's where the brand adjacencies matter in like a location where, obviously like we have a huge following within like the NBA and amongst athletes, and you have so many guys who train there in the off season. So that was a huge reason. And so that like was like, okay, we know we'll do well with like that. However, in terms of, introducing ourselves to a new customer, we felt like the design district and then being amongst those, subset of brands, it put us in a position where, we'd be able to introduce ourselves in a really nice way.
Where is John Elliott currently? Like, where are you hoping to grow the brand around the world? And where are you starting to see inroads? Like, you know, you talk about the NBA. The NBA is so influential in China, Korea, and obviously those are such huge markets. Like, where's John Elliott growing, or where do you want to see it grow in 2021 and beyond?
Yeah. So, I mean, honestly, like right now I would say we're still super focused on like America, honestly. Like, you know, I think there's still tons of room to grow in the US. Melrose, you know, people talk about like retail, and I think a lot of people were talking about retail before the pandemic, but I think doing retail well is still super important and very valid. And I think like, you know, Melrose was like an eye-opening experience for us. You know, it was only open for 9 months last year, and it still like is, you know, it's a huge addition to our business.
Right.
And that's why Miami was, you know, such an interesting opportunity. I think New York is really interesting. And then I think there will be opportunities to like grow the women's business in smaller markets and kind of test things, you know? Sure. So I think right now we're super focused on still growing it in the US. We've seen a huge interest in the UK, specifically in London.
Shout out to fucking blokes and mates and lads.
Yeah. That's actually like our number 4 biggest market is
really
London and like the extended UK. Yeah.
That I feel like, and I don't know if I'm surprised. I don't know if that's going to surprise people listening, but that is surprising to hear, but very cool.
Yeah. I mean,
obviously the culture that the UK has with clothing is extremely influential and like very important globally. Right. So the fact that they fuck with you is a big cosign.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you know, it was kind of like we knew it just through like digging through, you know, Google Analytics and analytics on Instagram. But like as we dig further, it's like there's a big customer base in the UK. So that's really interesting. There's a big customer base in Japan. You know, I think Japan is another one, just our ties to Japan through like our like head of development, really like my brother Nobu, who I built the brand with. Like in the fact that we do all of our denim in Japan. We do a huge amount of our cut and sew in Japan. We source a majority of our fabrics from Japan. I think Japan is a really, really important market for us. And I think as China opens up and they can start traveling again, I would imagine that Japan is going to just explode. Like it's going to go nuts. And I think that is a really interesting market for us kind of heading into 22.
The last time you and I spoke, at least IRL, was about talking about how you kind of you love traveling to Japan. You have your friends and family there, and that you try to instill a lot of like qualities found in like design culture there in John Elliott. And I just want to tell a quick story real quick. This is everything you need to know about John Elliott, the man, the myth, the legend. So Lawrence and I, like the fucking scrubs we are, right? We got seated like 4th and 5th or 6th or 7th row at some Kith show, like all the way on the west side. It was when like LeBron was there, like Scottie Pippen was there. We probably had like the Locks or Fabulous perform or some shit. And I swear to God, a homie of mine who's like not in the fashion world, he was boys with Emily Oberg, and he's like, yo, who's that guy who's with the backwards Yankees hat, and why does he fucking know everybody? He's dapping up literally fucking everybody. And then so me and Lawrence get obviously that home is standing. Me and Lawrence, we get seated 6th row. We're like, yo, John, what up? You obviously have front row, front and center. Ronnie, that's your guy. You're like, yo, you come sit with the fucking scrubs in the nosebleeds. You forego your seat next to like Scott Disick or whatever, and you come chill with us, and we're just like fucking chopping it up the whole show. We're like barely looking at the clothes. You're like, yo, I've seen all this. I love it. The Versace shit. Yeah, whatever. And you're just like, I just want to fucking chill with you guys. That's everything you need to know about John Elliott right there.
I mean, you've been fucking with us before it was, well, I don't know if it's, I was going to say before it was cool or popular. I don't know if we're cool or popular now. I think we're cooler and more popular now. But John, you've always been the homie, dude. You've had the vision, and that's why we're just happy to have you, man.
I mean, Lawrence,
the people.
I remember Lawrence, I think I was showing like our like season 4, and I was trying to get into Barney's. And so it was like you, me, and Julian and Mike. And like we showed you the line, and then we went out and got drinks afterward.
For sure.
And like I had known you obviously through Complex, but there's certain people that you click with, and
sure.
James, you as well, bro. Like it was like it's just, you meet people in this industry and there are moments where you're like, okay, this is like a homie, like a real homie.
Right.
Like I can be myself. I can let my guard down. And that's always been the way I've been with you guys. It's like, I can be real. So I've always appreciated that.
One of the highlights of Market Week always was getting shit faced with you and Mike. Like, you just knew, like, you could fucking set your clock to it. Like, all right, last appointment. All right, we got it scheduled. Let's get snatched.
Because you're the homie, John, we know that we can ask you the big questions. We do fancy ourselves a bit of a gotcha journalism. I want you to turn this up so the whole fucking room and the whole HQ can hear it. Which city has more trash style? Is it LA or Miami?
Yeah, who needs your help more?
I mean, I would, Miami is an amazing city that I like really enjoy visiting. And I think it's going to continue to grow. Like, I have to say, like, going there in the middle of the pandemic, people in LA were like, yo, are you insane? You're going to Miami?
Well, the pandemic doesn't exist in Miami.
Yeah, right. It's not even real.
And I got there, and I have to say it was like kind of refreshing to like forget about fucking COVID for like a couple of minutes. Not saying like, yo, obviously take COVID seriously, but I don't know. I mean, it's a different world down there. Like, I guess my point is
the
like,
island of lost toys or the elephant graveyard or whatever.
I feel like I can say that, like, I can easily say that LA has way better style than Miami, and Miami wouldn't give a fuck anyway. Like, they're like, yo, they're doing their own thing. Like, they're definitely living a nice lifestyle in Miami. Yeah,
but they need your help, dog. So I guess it's good that you're fucking, touching down.
We're glad you're there doing God's work. A lot of people don't realize this, but like John Elliott, the company is a family business. Your wife, she oversees men's and women's design and is obviously clearly a huge fucking reason why you guys are experiencing this nonstop meteoric rise. I guess my question, John, is do you feel like you are maybe holding the company back and you should just like give her the reins and let her run the whole thing? Like, that's obvious answer.
She already does. Like, it's so funny working with your significant other is because, like, I would say 95% of the time it's great. But every once in a while you'll hit like a real argument and it can be like kind of explosive. Sure. And she'll win and you have to like just walk away from it. And that has been,
so your employees are just watching you get fucking sunned by your wife.
No, definitely 1,000%.
Is she in the room right now? Can she hear you giving this answer?
No, she's picking up my daughter right now.
John, blink twice if you're okay.
Exactly. Yeah, she's behind the wall.
I mean, it's got to be fucking hard. I mean, what's like beyond the 9? Like, what is the hardest part? Just like when stuff maybe crosses into like
that 5%
blurs that line.
I think it's when you hit like a real issue, like you kind of probably both of us can sense that like you're approaching like a sensitive like time. You tread lightly. It's where you least expect it, where it's like something that shouldn't be a big issue. It's like a color choice or like a like something like something
a new detail or whatever.
Yeah, some of the way something was styled on the website, and like you make a comment in front of someone or she makes a comment in front of someone, and then you kind of like it's when you least expect it that it'll blow up. But I mean, I will say we've been working together now for like over 5 years, and I think the trajectory that we've been on in those 5 years speaks for itself. And I feel like the fact that like we work together, like it pushes you that much harder because there's answers that certain people will need. And it's like constantly in front of your face. So even at like 10 o'clock at night, 11 o'clock at night, like when you want to kind of eject, it's like you end up by osmosis just continuing to go.
Also, You're not surrounded. She's never going to be a sycophant or a yes man. She's going to call you on your bullshit and be like, no, John, like you're wrong.
Yeah. Well, that's the biggest thing, right? Is that there's obviously there's like real trust there. But I mean, the people who I'm working with, like it's everyone who I work with like really, really closely. Like it's people who've been really in the brand for 10 years now. So there's real trust across like the top of the brand at this point. And it's cool because Yeah, I mean, dude, sometimes my ideas are trash and I'll get called out on it.
Like doing this podcast, trash idea on your part. But John, have you ever thought about, like, James mentioned the family business, and there's other kind of fashion couples like Lemaire and his partner, and the Myers who do Jill Sander, and even when Matthew Williams for a while had like the family business thing. Have you
Rick
thought
and Michelle?
about Rick and Michelle, obviously. Have you thought about like making that more of a public facing partnership, or is it really just about like the product and letting that speak for itself? Like, have you thought about hamming up the husband and wife thing, basically, is what I'm asking?
I try not to ham up too much with even myself, like I'm not even totally comfortable like being the face of the brand at times, That's why like the brand is unbranded, like really it's unbranded. Like
it is your name. So there's
my name for sure. Yeah. Like it's so funny that you say that because like I was hesitant to call it my name. I didn't want to, but we just, it made the most sense.
What were some other options you were mulling over?
It's so funny because Ye asked me that same question and I like couldn't even tell him. Like, honestly, I don't even remember. They were
that bad, huh?
Okay. It's like, yeah, they were bad. Like it was like 11 years ago. So I would have to go through old notebooks and look, but they were trash. I remember, I was in Hancock Park. I was driving back from downtown and like, we started the brand with nothing. Like I put my life savings into the brand, started like $15,000. I was sleeping on Aaron's couch. I was driving my grandmother's like fucking Honda. And
I was like about this fucking dude.
The early days are pretty well documented, and I just remember like kind of thinking like, hey, if this is gonna work, you gotta put your name on it. And people always refer to me as like my full name, so it just made the most sense. But yeah, in terms of the relationship, like trying to like really kind of speak to that, I don't think my wife would be comfortable with it. Like, I don't think she wants that. She doesn't like, we have a daughter now. We definitely don't want to put my daughter out there. We want her to be able to like, do whatever the fuck she wants to do with her life and not have to feel like she has to be a part of fashion if she's not feeling it. She's only 15 months old.
You guys kind of like coming to blows over like one little thing reminded me. For me and Lawrence, it's like, no, the verbiage on this meme is wrong, bro. Like, can't say fit pick twice.
Yeah. Other than that, we'd never argue.
But Lawrence and I, yeah, exactly. We're fucking cursed or blessed to be with each other. Sorry, Freudian slip. Who's a better creative collaborator? Your wife, right? Who oversees all John Elliott design, or LeBron James?
Oh man, that's a tough question.
Yeah, dude, it's what we do for a living, bro.
You're gonna piss off someone here. Yeah. Do you want to piss off the king, or do you want to piss off the queen?
Yeah. Go off.
I'm gonna go. I don't think my wife would even like mind if I said that. I'm gonna go with LeBron as a better collaborator just because he's LeBron. The fact like when you work with someone like LeBron, you kind of, even though you have a idea of what it's going to mean for you and what type of exposure you'll get, you really underestimate how the enormity of that opportunity and how much of a global icon he is. Just to give you guys like perspective, we went to Shanghai for the first drop, the black and white icons, and we were at the Nike lab, and they were doing basically like an in-store where he was going to do an appearance, and he was on his way, and they were like, oh, there's an issue. I didn't know exactly what was happening, but I heard rumblings that the event was going to be canceled. I was like, well, the event is going to be canceled. What the fuck is going on? It turns out that two kids had snuck into the vents, of the AC ducts, to try to get a look at LeBron. There were people in
like Bruce Willis in Die Hard. They were
straight up. And there were people in the trees across the street. They were literally, I'm not even joking. There was probably 10,000 to 20,000 people outside of this just to get a glimpse of LeBron. And so when you do something with someone like that, it's just, it's a whole other scale.
I think that a lot of people that story is incredible. So thank you for sharing. But as far as like LeBron and his perception as like, a fashion fan, really an enthusiast, like he's obviously worked on all this product and he has Unknown and all that. But what is he like as like a pure John's enthusiast? Is he like guys like us? Is he like more of a dude that like relies on a stylist or like other people's like advice because he can't give the mind share to that? Like what's he like when it comes to actual product and gear?
I mean, he definitely has opinions and he has like a North Star in terms of his own personal style. I mean, he's also LeBron James. And so he's like, he's the world's greatest basketball player and he's been holding down that title for what, like 17 seasons now.
Yeah.
I mean, that's like, when you think about it in that scale, what type of work he has to put in to be at that level, it's honestly like, it's mind boggling.
Right.
You layer in his business interests and you layer in the fact that he's like a legit family guy. Like he should have no time, but I've seen him recite like word for word, like, and you can play any song from like a Jay-Z catalog and he'll be able to like recite it word from word. I mean, the amount of like just information that he can retain, he's a genius. And so he definitely has like, he has a North Star. He has a strong personal style. He's obviously like, he's surrounded himself with cool people. And I think he's not like a John's enthusiast because I don't think you could expect him to be, but he also is not gonna look goofy. He'll definitely you won't catch him looking just super silly.
Yeah, you will never catch him lacking for sure. His
Except maybe that one Tom Brown short suit.
Or besides all the Tom Brown.
What about like his design process? Because I know, going off what you said, I'm assuming that he's like very involved. I was at Def Jam when he like EP'd the 2 Chainz album, and I know that he was like actually surprisingly like involved. So like working with him on the sneakers, what was that like?
I mean, it's so crazy because like he was very involved, and I think I have to give him like a huge amount of credit for why we even got to Nike. Honestly, he really pushed for that. He really helped us get those collaborations.
He advocated on your behalf as like a homie. Really?
Yes. Yeah. I mean, he definitely advocated. What's that?
Do people know that? Have you talked about that when like we were doing press and stuff, like that he kind of like brought you into the Nike family? I mean, obviously he has a lot of sway, but I assume.
I don't think I've ever talked about it, but if you were to do some forensics like on our shows and on our like journey, you'd be able to put it together ourselves. I mean, I was in downtown LA in my grandmother's car. I get a call from this guy and it's a random Ohio number. And he's like, yo, I work with LeBron. He had been buying our stuff at this store exhibition in Cleveland. And he became like a huge fan. And he was like, yo, like he wants some pieces. Like, who should I speak to? And I'm like, literally no money, like doing production myself. I'm thinking I'm getting pranked, like, who the fuck, bro? Like, I'm like, all right, well, how about this? I'm going to be in New York showing the line in July. Like, come through. If you can, like, come out to New York. I'll show you the line and we'll put together like a whole assortment for LeBron. Sure enough, came through, loved what he saw. Next thing you know, I went out to Ohio and like met with LeBron and Maverick. And from that point on, it was like pretty clear that we shared a lot of the same cultural touch points, like same age, like grew up playing basketball, like grew up playing AAU, obviously huge Nike fans. And so that first show, the first ever runway show we did, that coincided with the NBA All-Star game in 2014, I believe. And that show, we sent LeBron, I think they were like the LeBron 12s. We did IDs and we sent them down the runway. And like the connection through LeBron is what got me to campus. That was the first time that I went to Portland. And that was kind of how all the doors opened.
Damn. Well, I mean, if anyone is a gatekeeper, it's fucking the king. You know what I'm saying? Like that's one guy you definitely want to have. That's kind of what you are to us. You know what I'm saying? You're our LeBron James.
Oh, yeah, totally. For sure. That's how I think so as well.
I mean, John, sorry, go ahead. No, you You.
No, I mean, it's just, it's funny because like when we got the icon, we launched the first colorway, the black and white colorway, and they sold out in like, a couple minutes, and obviously was feeling really good about that. And I had LeBron had my number, I had his number, but it's not like I'm texting with LeBron often. And that next morning, I got a text message from LeBron at like early, like 7 a.m.
Right.
With like a list of ideas with like color chips and like call outs. And it was like clear he was doing it himself on his phone. And that's how involved he was. He takes anything that is attached to his name. You can bet like he's going to be involved with it, and he's going to have opinions. And, dude, it's not an accident how successful he is. Like he's brilliant.
John, I mean, that's a fucking early, milestone, I think, in the John Elliott business. And you kind of lose track, right? Like the fact that first show, Kanye shows up, fucking, the show you did in New York with like LeBron, Bieber. I mean, and it's not just celebrities, but like kids loving your shit selling out instantly. Do you ever have any fear of still being pigeonholed as like the hoodie and sweats guy, and not allowing people to, or people not kind of focusing on like the more minutia, the more like involved shit, but kind of only remaining focused on the early John Elliott stuff that still, I'm sure, sells incredibly well and is still part of like the uniform. But like, how do you care about being pigeonholed, or like what people perceive of you and what you do?
I appreciate you asking that. I think it's a great question. And I think a couple of years ago, I did, a couple of years ago, like when we, after doing like whatever it was, like 10 shows and seeing some like blurbs in press, and people would still be referring to the villain and Escobars, that shit would really kind of, irk me a little bit. But at the end of the day, like, those two styles, I think at this point, they're kind of like icons of the brand. Like they sell incredibly well, and they were novel enough to like still be relevant and still like be like a way to introduce a guy to the brand. So now I don't care. Like it doesn't bother me at all. Like I look at it with respect. I'm like, those two products were so strong and so important that they were able to take, me, who was a hungry dude who had good ideas and was gritty, and was, really like trying to get more ideas out. That those two pieces allowed me to get to the point where I'm able to like experiment with, a tiger camo where I'm doing, 3 different dye processes on one print in order so that I can wash it out and it will look, like vintage 1960s Vietnam era, like tiger camo. And if anyone is ever able to put those dots together, no, they probably aren't, because you know what? Like they don't care enough to do it. So it doesn't bother me. Like, it's like,
if anything, it's probably like, brands, they put out logo tees typically, right? For you, like maybe this is your logo tee where this is like an entry point for a guy that doesn't know about like the work you put into textile development and research and references, but this is their portal into the John Elliott universe.
A vessel of discovery.
This is how they learn.
I mean, the truth is I used to care like more about what the like quote unquote industry thinks of like myself personally and then the greater brand. But I think now I'm really confident in the product that we put out. I'm really confident in the ideas, and I have fun doing it. And like sometimes caring what like the greater industry would think of myself or the brand and the integrity of our ideas would fuck me up. Like honestly, like there were times where a fucking sentence in a Vogue review would like send me down a spiral where I would like overcorrect for a season. And I would do like something that didn't make sense for us from a business perspective. But that's like something that you need to learn as a young designer that like, it served me. And I think now it's just about balance. It's like, look, I love the fact that we still have the villain Escobars in the line. They still sell incredibly well. Is is it what I'm passionate about? Like for, spring, summer 2022? Like, no, that it shouldn't be, because I'm working on new products.
Yeah, that's like older stuff too. It's like, it can, like you said, it can serve this purpose. Like James is talking about, it can be this vessel, this portal, and it can obviously enhance your bottom line and open up all these other fucking lanes for you. And I think that it's crazy. When you talked about the grit and the hunger, and like, I definitely know you as that guy, but I feel like in all the years I've known you, I never really knew about this kind of like chip on your shoulder that you had to some degree. I guess that's something that you kind of like internalized, right? And like,
I have a huge chip on my shoulder.
Still
huge. Oh, definitely. Yeah, huge. But I try to just channel it. Right. I mean, I have a huge chip on my shoulder. I think you have to a certain degree to like get to this level, you have to have something that's driving you. I think I've always been like, I won't say pigeonholed, but I've always been kind of like typecast as like this super humble, like, humble beginnings, like kid. And that is true. Like, that's definitely true. But like, I was also the kid listening to Meek Mill, like, fucking like
dreams, nightmares.
Exactly. Listen to Meek Mill, like, dreams, nightmares, like, doing production myself, like, just really like betting on myself. So, I think now, as I've gotten a little bit older, and like, I think, been doing this for a while, like, I think there's like a quiet kind of confidence that you finally get to where you're just like, I'm really happy with the product that I'm producing. I'm really curious about like, I enjoy chasing down curiosities, telling those stories, and, like making product for the audience that we have. And if like the greater fashion industry as a whole, if we never reach that like incredible superstardom that some of like my peers may have gotten to, that's totally fine with me, because at the end of the day, like I'm really confident in what we have as a brand. I'm really confident in like where we're going. I still feel like we're, kind of like people are still discovering us, and that's a beautiful thing.
Sure.
My name is a family name, and I'm in it. Like I'm in this for the long haul. So I don't necessarily need like some huge moment, even though we've had big moments,
or even approval from the ivory tower or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, like, exactly. Like I don't feel like there's, and at this point, honestly, I think the industry is a bit fractured, and I think the pandemic has like done that. And I think the realization of like just doing what serves your customer and doing what serves your business first is like, that's what's most important right now, is like, survival, honestly.
Sure.
Yeah,
I mean, absolutely.
At the end of the day, it's the product that matters. It's the bottom line that matters, and it's the consumer that matters. Right. And like, what the consumer thinks and ultimately dictates is really like, who gives a fuck what the external perception is beyond that. And the consumer is king and queen. I guess, like, what is the best performing piece in the John Elliott collection typically?
That's a good question. I mean, I think like, obviously our core is where like, that's still probably close to 65% of our business. So, t-shirts, French terry, hoodies, sweats, and denim, like that's 65% of our business. But, we obviously have done 10 shows, and we haven't done one in a couple seasons, but like those collection pieces that we launched kind of as like under like a drop cadence, we'll see like things that kind of will spike, and it's like, wow, like this could be kind of treated as like almost core, and we'll like grab those and like, almost put them above the core and like relaunch those. And so I think it's like, it's almost like a tide, like stuff is constantly coming in and going out and refreshing. And so, but the core is always going to be rooted in those essential pieces, which is like, the foundation of what makes up a man and woman's wardrobe.
Sure. What's something that sells really well that might surprise people, like that they wouldn't expect?
Yeah, the sleeper hit.
I mean, honestly, the footwear program is off to a just ridiculous program.
Shit's like sold out on Essence, right? Already, right?
Sneakers sold out.
And on our side as well.
Damn.
I mean, you know, we had
boots sold out.
We had like high hopes for it, but I don't think we expected this. So every once in a while, like we'll get, you know, we'll launch something and we'll be shocked by it. Like we'll launch like a $2,000 leather anorak. And we'll like have, you know, enough units where we think like, you know, we should have this for 6 months and it will sell out in a weekend. And, you know, it's like you learn about your customer, you know, you learn about like who your customer is and what their disposable income is. And you know, we're learning as well.
On the flip side of all of these like sleeper hits and then like, you know, iconic classics, if you will, what's been like a notable brick that maybe like really surprised you or like really bummed you out, but like, you know, you had to learn to move forward?
Yeah, I think, well, I kind of touched on it. I don't think there was like a particular product that I would focus on, but I think, you know, so when we were like heavy in the show circuit, you know, we did that first show where Ye came. Second show was running through Vietnam. So like that show to me was like a classic. That I think that was like a, you know, if I was going to use like an album reference, like that was like a classic album for us. Sure. I literally went to Vietnam and tried to run from Ho Chi Minh to Hanoi. And like just really put together like a super focused collection off of that trip. And I knew,
like when you say focus, you mean like something that was more maybe conceptually tight than anything you had done up until that point. Is that what you mean?
Yeah. Well, I think what happened was
thematic rather.
We had that first show. Style.com writes like most popular kid in New York Fashion Week, whatever. Facts. And Ye comes, and I just knew that like the industry in general was going to be like, okay, like let's see if you're real, you know, like let's see what you do next season. And if you're bullshitting, we are going to be, the claws are out. We are going to tear you the fuck down. And so I kind of had always had this idea about trying to like capture like this wash palette, like, and putting it through that lens. And so that collection, like almost killed me, like putting that together. Like it was an incredibly challenging collection, incredibly challenging show, but you know, that it was like incredibly critically acclaimed. And I think like we had major retailers who were still on the fence about the brand. Right. So like, Barney's hadn't picked us up yet. Bergdorf hadn't picked us up yet. No Saks, no Essence. Like we're still super small. So we should not have been doing shows yet. And then after that show, we got everybody. And it was honestly like we could pick and choose who we wanted to sell to. And I think like from that point on, like I felt like the spotlight got a little bit bigger. So from there, we did the show called Over the Line. I went to Berlin, like went to Berghain, spent like 2 days just
doing
like,
research,
losing my mind in Berlin.
Sure. Yeah.
And then from there, like that was where I, like after that, I felt like there was like a line or two in a Vogue review where it kind of just rubbed me the wrong way. And that's where I was like really kind of expecting like praise from the industry. And so I think I overcorrected and I did this super conceptual collection called Watching Water. And like we did, like I was really thinking about the runway. So we like invested in all these silks so that it would have like all this movement. And, you know, we got like incredible reviews. Like I satisfied the editors. Like I checked that box. And I remember like after the show, just like partying so hard and like feeling like I'd done it. You know, I climbed that hill. I had satisfied this urge to be accepted by the industry. And I remember waking up the next day and being like, fuck, like, how is this going to retail?
Yeah,
and, you know,
can I sell any of this shit?
And it was, you know, it was a tough season. It was honestly a tough season. I remember like WWD called it a top 10 show of the whole season, like, you know, including like all the Paris show, all the European shows.
Yeah.
But that was a huge learning experience for me. And
how did it sell, by the way? Did it sell well or did it actually underperform?
No, it was a brick. It was I caught a brick for sure. Yeah. It was like, you know, it was super pastel color palette. It was like a lot of silks, linens. It was super expensive. It just was not like it honestly wasn't a good move for like where our business was at and where I had come from. And I think like, you know, it was like this moment where I had to look in the mirror and really be real about like who we were, who I am,
and why you do it, who you do it for. Yeah,
exactly. And I think, you know, that like,
they asked me what I do and who I do it for.
That scar served me and the brand really well, I think.
You think since then you've kind of like been like, yo, why are we trying to please the wrong people? Like there's always going to be a disconnect between like the elite perception or acceptance and the fucking kids that are actually buying this shit, right?
Totally. And I think that's the thing, right? Is that like, and I think that's where the pandemic honestly like might really serve brands is I think everybody has really had to sharpen their focus on their customers and sharpen their intent on their business and why they're doing what they're doing and really be careful about how they spend their dollars. You know, I think like, you know, the pandemic has like totally re-scrambled culture. And I think people have had the opportunity to like really contemplate what's in their closet and be like, yo, you know, am I proud of how I look in this photo? Am I proud of what's in my closet? And I think like, you know, creating pieces for the right reason, you know, that's what I'm trying to do now is like build stuff that's going to, you know, like stand the test of time, both from like a versatility style component and like a way of make where like you can own something for years and years. And you should be able to blend it into your wardrobe, like in any era.
Right. It's an honesty and integrity thing that like not everybody has in this. I would say most people don't probably have in this industry, right? Well, the commodity in another.
Yeah, I think, you know, and the thing is like, I was lucky enough to partner with like my business partner, Nobu, right? And he opened up a pipeline to Japan. And like in that pipeline to Japan, I started to travel there and go and meet with manufacturers like face to face. And honestly, in many cases, like kind of like recruit them. I don't want to say like beg them, but like ask them to like to work with us, especially when we were younger and we couldn't hit quantities.
Right.
And, you know, these are companies who are working with fashion houses. These are companies who are, you know, literally producing at like the pinnacle of capital F fashion. And here I am sitting at dinner with them. And after like enough reps with them, enough times going to visit them, not only are we building like real businesses with them, but there is also like an exchange and a respect that is taking place where it's like, you know, it kind of influences the way that you think about product and the way that you think about their business. Because, you know, if we don't protect like certain ways of make, then we're gonna lose.
Use it or lose it, right? Yeah, it's gonna be gone forever.
I mean, what you guys love, what you guys like, you know, probably like love about like men's like fashion in general, like it's at risk right now.
Sure.
Because like a lot of smaller businesses, a lot of mom and pop shops that are like focused on one or two things special, they're getting squeezed right now.
Yeah.
So, you know, really trying to figure out how to like focus on those ways of make and highlight those ways of make and make sure that they become commercial and you're exciting your customers and like those customers like cherish those items. That's kind of where I'm focused now.
And I think correct me if I'm wrong, but sorry.
Well, that's the unseen work that people don't see, right? Is like researching and finding and developing a relationship with like a button guy, right? Or like some woman that has fucking been, you know, a master dyer for decades now. And I think like, I do hope that is kind of what people start to focus on or think is important. I mean, right now, to take it back a little bit, like one thing that is so visible and so easily spread and shared is like a celebrity cosign. I mean, you mentioned that Kanye coming to the show really made people's fucking necks break. You know, Jay-Z and Beyonce wore your shit early, and that was obviously a huge cosign. Is the celebrity cosign, that was back in like, you know, 2014, 2015.
Yeah.
Fast forward 5, 6, 7 years later, is the celebrity cosign as important now as it might have been back then?
I don't know if I'm the right person to ask.
Not just for yourself, but any like emerging brand.
Honestly, let me ask you guys. You guys tell me. I don't know. You like, what do you guys think?
I think a new brand, I feel like it's still the ultimate tool.
It's instant exposure, but then it's like, is it superficial? And is there can the brand, like yourself, like can the brands follow up with like a sophomore album, right?
Yeah.
Was it a flash in the pan? Do they just know like Travis's boy who like got it on Travis's back? Or
can you be bigger than the cosign itself?
Yeah.
Right?
Is it nepotism, or is there more depth to the whole damn thing?
I think so. I think for us, look, I don't want to be like so removed from those moments and act like it wasn't like it was a huge deal. You know, when Kanye first wore the sweatpants, I'm not even fucking lying to you. I swear to God, I was in the car with fucking Mike and we saw a fucking rainbow. I swear. That's a true story. Right. Like, we saw that, and like literally right after that, we saw a rainbow, and I was like, "Yo, this is crazy." I'm
on acid right now, like my boy in Vegas.
Praise Jesus.
We knew that was like a transformative moment when he came to the show. The energy in that room, instantly shifted. It was like it was pretty much like you knew that was a life-changing event. So I don't definitely want to zoom out after like years removed from it and act like it's not a big deal. It is a big deal, but I think, there has to be real depth behind the reason, like it can't just be like a celebrity cosign. I think if there's a celebrity cosign and then there's depth behind like, an integrity in the product and the ideas and the way that you market yourself, then that's the recipe. That can put you on that can create a cheat code for you, but
right.
You need to have the substance, I think.
Right.
Is there and I always felt, at least as a kind of like an observer, a third party, that the relationship with Ye was very deep and was about product and a mutual appreciation for like, the love of a lot of the same stuff, particularly in the fashion space. Is there a Kanye moment besides the rainbow that like you cherish that like was extra transformative for you throughout the years?
Yeah, I mean, there's several. Kanye, look, I love Kanye. Like, he's an incredible human and a friend. There's been a lot. There was one time where he was shooting a video with Vic Mensa. I can't remember what the song was called. But so I went to the video shoot, and then afterwards, I was in the trailer. I was like, "Yo, what are you about?" No, it wasn't Wolves. It was like in that era though.
Okay.
It was a Vic song. And then,
okay.
I can't remember. And he was like, "Yo, what are you about to do?" I was like, "I'm about to go back to the factory." He's like, "You're going back to the factory right now?" I was like, "Yeah, you want to come?" He's like, "Sure, let's go." so I called Nobu, and I told him I was going to a video shoot with Kanye. And he's like, Nobu couldn't care less. He's like, cool.
Right. Yeah, sick, bro, whatever.
I'm like, "Yo, hey, Ye's on his way to the factory right now." He's like, "What?" I'm like, "Yeah, Kanye's on his way." And so Ye had a driver and I had parked. So I had to run and go get my car. And so Kanye had like a 15-minute head start on me. So Kanye shows up to the factory like solo, like by himself. It's just like walks in solo, like with Nobu, like Kanye West showing up at the factory,
right?
Like unannounced, like, like people were like, "What the fuck?"
Yeah.
And I think I would, the moment that I have always wondered like what they talked about, like, what the fuck they were talking about. But yeah, I mean,
how about the weather, right?
Yeah.
Shit.
I mean, hear that John Elliott has 1,000 Yankee fitteds?
Yeah, right.
But I think, there's Kanye he's obviously like he's always working on a lot at one time, and he thinks in such a different way. I mean, you can't even like put a box. You can't use a word to describe the way he thinks. So it's just always inspiring to be around him. It's really inspiring. And then, I think there's things that I do in terms of like the approach that I take to specifically like cut and sew that he's always really admired and been interested in. And we've shared a lot of common ground and thoughts around that.
Is there, besides Jay, Bay, Ye, LeBron, is there like whether a celebrity, A-lister, or just like someone who you fucking respect or love with all your heart? Is there someone like who's someone that wore your shit that really kind of blew you away?
Oh man, someone who wore our stuff that blew me away.
Besides Jimmy and Larry.
I would have to think about that. I mean, that's a great question. I'd have to think about that and come back to it. I mean, there's been moments where you're shocked, but I'd have to think about it.
What about the last moment where you're just kind of like, yo, you had to pinch yourself, like, I can't believe I'm at where I'm at, because like obviously you're putting in hours at the office, like this the grind, the rise has been meteoric, like we've said, but like, when was the last time you took a step back and just like, yo, I cannot kind of believe like I am where I am?
I used to do that more than I do it now. I think I think when you're younger, you're so hungry to get to like a place of stability and a place where you can pay yourself a little bit, and you can see, the plaque at Barney's was a big moment, celebrity cosigns, like all those things, like they're just moments, right? And then they go away and they don't change your life. Right. And so I think now, like, I think the realization of like, who I am as somebody who is generating ideas and the access that we have to ways of there's like I feel like there's just an opportunity. And now I feel like I really belong. And I feel like there's like, I honestly am just motivated. I feel like there's a ton more to push, not only me, but like our entire squad. Like, I feel like, we're really just at the beginning of doing something really special. And I think that like, that's inspiring. Like,
how big is the team right now? How, as it stands right now?
I think it's gotta be like around like 45, 50.
Who's your favorite?
Sick, bro.
Who's your favorite one?
who's your
my wife.
Good.
Well done.
Correct
well
answer.
Done.
All right. Who's your least favorite?
Your wife. Mike.
Nobu. Easily Nobu.
To continue the celeb convo just a little bit before we move on, who's somebody that wore your shit that you were like, fuck, I hate that this person is wearing my shit right now?
Oh my God. I need to, again, I gotta be careful. I mean,
it's gotta be Food God, right?
Damn.
I don't want to shit on someone who's
who supported the brand. Shit. You're too humble. Yeah. We'll do it for you.
It's also Jimmy and Larry.
Yeah, it's us.
Stop.
When in doubt, blame us.
We've kind of touched on a few collaborations, but obviously you've collabed with Nike. The Sweet Coke fucking sandals are big gas. Mars Jewelry, is it Mars or MARS? Small shop out of Japan. That I know that was near and dear to your heart. Do you have a dream brand that you would want to collaborate with?
I mean, I'd really like to work with Gore-Tex fabrics. Like, I'd like to work with Gore-Tex just because I respect them so much. There's a ton, man. There's a ton. But I think right now, not to be cliche, I think it's more just like, if a collaboration happens, then like you treat it with respect and you pour so much into it that like, you need to you need to have the proper amount of time to like really like make sure that it goes off without a hitch. So I'm not like actively seeking out collaborations. Like
I was going to say, I feel like you in an era, right? Or the era that we're kind of like moving out of, collaboration was, and even still is everything. And I've always been surprised and impressed that you like don't collab with more people. Cause I feel like you must be getting hit up all the time, but it's interesting to know that that's like super intentional because
you don't collaborate for collaboration's sake.
Right. Exactly. You want to do it for the right reasons. And like, you don't just do it as a cash grab, cause all these collabs make no fucking sense. Right.
Yeah. Well, look, we've done our fair share of collabs that didn't make that much sense as well. So I don't want to, like sit here and act like
don't perjure yourself on the podcast. Dog.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I'm fucking innocent here. Like, right, but people at least can go through, and there are some JE collabs that make no fucking sense.
But you were early.
You were early. The guy who did this.
You were early on that collab that don't make no sense type shit. I'll give you that.
I invented dumbass collabs, motherfucker. Remember who you're talking to? This is JE.
You want to make sure that you have time to do something that is going to matter.
Right.
And you don't want to, if you sign up for a collab that your heart isn't in, like you're going to look foolish because collabs are noteworthy. So if you fucking flop with a collab, like it's in my opinion, it does more harm to the brand than it does good. Like just not like, and there's so many that I think nowadays people can like really kind of read between the lines. It's like, yo, there's so much fucking product in the world. Do we really need this fucking silly collab? Like, probably not. Your time would probably be better served just really focusing on your own products.
Absolutely.
Sure. I mean, John, you have the 35,000 foot view. You've been early on the goofy collabs. You're obviously influential to not just like existing brands, but I'm sure a lot of kids that are looking to start their own shit. I guess like coming out of the pandemic, looking ahead, you've offered a bunch of darts, but like, where is streetwear? Where is menswear headed, in your opinion?
I think it's headed. I'm really excited with where it's headed. I think it's like getting more sophisticated. I think people are, I think they're more educated. I think they have, thanks to people like you guys, honestly, they have more confidence and they have honestly like more of a platform and more of a kind of freedom to take risks and to explore, but do it in a way that isn't like sheepish. I feel like honestly, this is like a real renaissance for menswear. And I think coming out of like streetwear, there's still like streetwear stylistic cues that will remain and still be fresh. And that's exciting. But I think that like, a return to like a more kind of, smart way of dressing is really refreshing. And, I think it's going to be really interesting to see if there's any kind of like, people have been hypothesizing coming out of the pandemic if there's going to be like this kind of like roaring 20s like moment, right? Like if there's going to be the
horniest summer of all time on deck.
Yeah, definitely.
As we've said many times.
But like if there will be this like kind of like, just like over like abundance of like, really, really overdressing. Like, I think that's going to be interesting to see like, as, the vaccination really starts to like be rolled out for like our generation and younger generations, what happens after that. But I think, right now I'm very confident, in like where like the zeitgeist is headed.
Sure. In terms of like individuals, because obviously we just, like James said, took like the kind of big picture view, but in terms of individuals who wear your clothes, and you're a guy who I think, you have great personal style. Like you said, you designed kind of for yourself. When you see a young person, a kid, a young guy, whatever, wearing your stuff, like how much do you pay attention to how that person wears it? Whether they're kind of like copying the website, wearing JE head to toe, if they're kind of like freaking one piece in like an interesting way, like how much do you pay attention to that? And how can you even like message that to the customer if you can at all?
I think I used to pay attention to it more, honestly. I think, like there's definitely like a hardcore cult following for the brand. And I think I used to, pay more attention to like where that cult was at in terms of how they dressed. Mm-hmm. I think now as the brand's gotten bigger, I kind of feel like we need to set the standard. And, it's like I think through osmosis, through like the people that you associate with, the places that, like sell your brand, the people that you talk to, you just hope that people, will be able to sensibly put themselves together. I don't obsess over it like I used.
You just want to lead by example, and then it's in God's hands,
Exactly. I mean, at this point, that's all you can do,
Right. Sure. I guess at your size too, especially. Yeah, for sure.
John, you posted an IG recently. I don't remember the brand posted an IG recently, kind of a layout of all the different villain seasonal colors. But I want to talk about the only color that matters, which is green, right? We see the recessed shelving. I know that shit's expensive. And, obviously you started out pouring your life savings into the business. I know those new errors aren't free because you take the fucking logo off. My question for you is, how much money do you make?
Yo, I'm definitely not telling you that.
Are you at the point where you're paying yourself now?
Yeah, of course.
Oh, thank God.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Of course.
All right, I was starting to get nervous.
I'm very appreciative of where the brand is at. I'm appreciative of our staff. Like, we have a group of people who have built this thing from the ground up, and we're all starting to have families now. It's like a whole crop of us, like, all just had kids.
Yo, the John Elliott Extendo Familia.
Yeah, exactly.
Kind of serious. And so I think, like,
you're responsible for a lot of motherfuckers now, right? Like,
it's true. I mean, it's about making sure that everybody is coming up together, you know, and like, we're all like in this together, and we're all like kind of the sea level rises together.
When John eats, we all eat.
Yeah. And then I think the other thing is, like, I'm appreciative of our customers, you know, like, straight up, without sounding corny, like, you know, this shit was not this was not promised. Like, I had so many people when we first started the brand, you know, you going back to that chip on your shoulder thing, people thought I was insane to do this, you know, and it took grit. It took a lot of tough conversations with yourself to do it. And like, I'm really, really thankful for people who saw value in the product. And, you know, you just want to do right by them. Keep putting out product that matters.
And I mean, like, you talk about constantly pouring money back into the business, which is smart and something that we should definitely do. But like, outside of reinvesting in yourself, what do you like to spend your money on?
I mean, I have a pretty extensive book collection. I have, you know, honestly, like, I have a lot of clothes. I have a pretty impressive Helmut Lang collection.
Shit.
Like 90s through early 2000s Helmut Lang collection. Probably not a shocker that I find
denim God recognizing denim God, right?
Yeah, I mean, you know, honestly, there's so much that he did that was just so monumental for the industry, and you know, honestly, like, him and Miuccia Prada to me are like two.
So who would be the other two designers on your Mount Rushmore? You obviously said you have Helmut Lang and Prada. Who else is up there that you would hold?
Phoebe and Jun Takahashi.
Respect. I remember seeing you you were wearing the Celine Air Force Ones. Like, you the first dude that became like a thing where guys were like, yo, this is too clean. You were the first dude that had those. I remember that being like, what the fuck? Sneakers? Respect, dude.
I've always been a huge Phoebe fan. And yeah, I mean, I'm really interested to see what she does next. Like, you know, like Phoebe, like Miuccia, obviously Helmut Lang, those respect. Look, I mean, you know, they've influenced me. Yeah,
for sure.
What about I know you're fucking it up in the kitchen right now, chefing up every night in the panini. Have you are you like fucking splurging at like the Crusette store and like getting like fucking, you know, like crazy appliances, or is it just you keeping it simple there?
No, definitely keeping it simple there. I mean, I tend to work late, like, you know, even like in the height of the pandemic, I was still coming into the office. I know that's like probably, I don't know if that's even
you're in grind mode, dude. If it's just you, it doesn't matter.
It was me and Nobu. Like, it's impossible to fucking create product on Zoom. Like, it's impossible. So,
you don't need to tell us, bro. I mean, we'd much rather be potting with you in person, but you know.
Yeah, of course. Right. Of course. So I think, you know, the whole cook at home thing is one thing, unfortunately, that may have missed me.
Okay.
Damn. All right. Well, I want to get into, not just, obviously we have money. Well, we have John Elliott, right? Then we have money. I want to get into the third and final topic, which is meats and cheeks, sucking and fucking. You talk about field testing, wear testing. I want to know how many hours, man hours, hog hours did you put into field testing on how popping the dick print is on those Escobar sweats?
And you consider that how much of that was in consideration in the whole
like the hog is not popping, Nobu.
Yeah, Nobu, back to the drawing board. The hog must be more robust.
Here it is. I've been waiting for it. I'm waiting for the moment. My God.
You know, we started with Dick Field. We're ending with robust hogs.
Yeah. Definitely. That's the genesis behind that whole plan.
Right.
Exactly.
That's how
I've been wearing sweats for years and my dick always looked like shit. So I had to create my own fucking sweats.
Oh my God. You know what's so funny about the Escobar? So like obviously it's inspired by a soccer pant from Colombia. So like Pablo Escobar era, like cocaine soccer, like those dudes had just like the most outrageous.
Like when they killed the goalie, right? Because
that was in the Olympics. But like even before that, they had
he owned a team, didn't he?
Yeah, he owned a team in Medellin, and like they were like the champions, and like they actually had like legit guys who would have played probably like in Europe. And he was paying them to stay in Colombia, and like those dudes, like they live like a legit rock star lifestyle. So I started to research like that way of dressing, and I just found it fascinating. And so I wanted to do a super slim sweatpant at the time. And so we got the first sample back, and we were about to head out to Vegas to go to Magic, and I didn't have rib. So we used like a self fabric, and it was super tight. So you literally couldn't even fucking put these things on, right? So, like you couldn't get them on. Right. So I'll never forget, like we were heading out to Vegas, and Aaron was driving. He's like, "Yo, you brought those sweatpants, right?" And I was like, No, I didn't bring them, man. They're not ready. He's like, "What the fuck are you talking about?" We turned around and we went and got them.
Oh shit.
So, went back to LA, got them.
They almost didn't make it.
What's that?
They almost didn't make it.
Yeah. So we were in an appointment, and I think we had 2 appointments going on at once. And we had a kid who was like an assistant buyer who was like, just felt like he wanted to try them on. This dude, like in front of like 6 people in his underpants, like just can't get them on. I'm like, no, disaster. Like, you know, people walking by and shit. Like,
damn,
almost. I can honestly say I didn't expect those would be as big as they were. Like they just absolutely took off.
Right, because they didn't fucking work as pants, functionally speaking. Yeah.
I mean, the second sample, obviously we were able to fix it, but they almost didn't even make it.
And now they're ribbed for your pleasure. So anyone who hasn't tried on I will say, as a proud Escobar owner and wearer for many years, they're gonna make your dick fucking pop. You're gonna need a pair of those. And now they got the functioning ribs. You're good to go, dude.
Your thing gonna be thangin'. That's for damn sure.
Yeah, for real. Almost just spit.
Well, John, from bringing non-functional samples to Magic to being the proud owner of recessed shelving. Once again, congrats on that. You know, obviously you're doing super fucking well. The brand is reaching new heights every single day. Lawrence and I cannot be prouder to call you a friend and a colleague. That being said, we think you could do better, bro.
Yeah.
And so if it's cool with you and it's cool with everyone in the office that's still there, we want to offer up some constructive criticism because, you know, take it from 2 retired podcasters' perspective. It's very important. It's a robust demographic in America.
Yeah.
We want to see you level up. So
let's go. I love this.
Take it or leave it. We highly recommend you take it. So you're no stranger to working with NBA players, and you're no stranger to, New York sports being the proud owner of 5 million Yankees fitteds. The New York Knicks are having a little bit of a moment right now. Why don't you link up with RJ Barrett and do his signature shoe?
Yeah, man. The Knicks they're what, like 8th place?
Yeah, I think they're 500. Yeah, I think they're 500, or they were last night. So I don't know.
You're the Lakers, whatever.
So you're a Lakers fan? I guess the LeBron thing also, right? Like at this point now.
Yeah, I mean that's caught me in some hot water being from the Bay Area and
right
to LA and becoming a Lakers fan. But yeah, no, I mean I became a Lakers fan when Kobe was here. Like I think when I was first starting the brand. Like, you know, honestly, watching Kobe, he was on a stretch right when he tore his Achilles where they were trying to make the playoffs. And I think it was like when Gary Payton and Karl Malone.
Yeah,
they were supposed to be like incredible. And both those guys were hurt. They were awful. And Kobe was just like carrying that team.
Right.
And like watching him will that squad to like the playoffs, it was like can't miss TV. You had to watch it every single night. And, you could not root for the Lakers. And then it just like, you know, once you kind of started rooting for Kobe, you realize like how good it felt to root for someone who was, you know, a killer like that.
Straight villain, baby. Yeah.
Yeah. You honestly just became a Lakers fan. And then obviously the connections with LeBron. I remember like that summer, thinking like he might come to the Lakers, and I actually texted him like when he said that, like he made the decision. Woj tweeted that he's coming to the Lakers. I'm like, yo, like LA, and he was like, let's go, baby. And
he responded to you?
Yeah,
he must have gotten like
a
million. He must have gotten like a billion texts as soon as
big link up pending.
Yeah.
It was definitely
he hits you back. He's like, who's this? Like who?
Yeah. Like
okay. Hollywood. I'm Hollywood Bron now.
Yeah, lose my number, creep.
If you could do a signature shoe for anybody, not LeBron, who would it be right now? Who's in the league? Do you have a favorite like young guy, or would it
John
be
Morant.
like what's up?
John Morant.
Oh shit, yeah, that'd be fucking fire.
Yeah, putting the LeBron friendship aside, I mean, just like as a basketball fan and someone who grew up balling like and hooping, like how did it feel seeing a sneaker you designed in an NBA game?
That was crazy. I mean, that's to me was more of a bucket list. That was crazy. That was like a bucket list, almost more so than even like the Barney's plaque, or like, being nominated for like CFDA or whatever.
What was the stat line?
Honestly, I think it was a decent game. It was Montrezl Harrell. I think he won 6th man of the year. So
yeah,
he had to. I don't remember exactly what it was, but they're not performance shoes. Like, so to see someone balling in them in an NBA game, at first you're like, oh fuck,
right.
you're excited, but then you're also like, fuck, if something goes wrong, like you don't want like the Zion moment.
Exactly.
Right. Sure. Right. Where where the icons get their back blown out on live TV or some shit.
Exactly. Yeah. And then your name is all over the place for the wrong fucking reason. But no, I mean, it's
John Elliott ruins promising young NBA career.
Exactly. So,
thank
that
God.
bullet dodged. But no, I mean, that's the one thing. I'm an NBA junkie. Like I love basketball. It's something that like my dad coached me growing up. Like my brother played. Like, I loved every moment of competing when I was young, and it's something that I follow closely.
Yeah. You're still nice. You still nice right now.
Yeah.
You still top dog in the office.
No, of course not. No. I don't even pretend to try and hoop anymore. Basketball is such a young man's game,
right?
That like, I feel like once you're my age, you should just call it for what it is and just like enjoy the kids.
Yeah. It's like they always said, design or go to the league. And obviously John chose to design.
Yeah, exactly. I've heard so many people say that.
Yeah. You've blessed us with so many fucking gems and stories tonight. This is an instant classic episode of the only podcast that matters. Not to mention you have an unimpeachable Rolodex. Have you ever thought about starting your own fucking podcast, my dude?
I mean, I feel like there's been times, honestly, where like we want to tell stories for the season. So we'll want to go through all the various developments and give them enough air like to breathe. So we'll do it for internal use. And then we'll be like, yo, we'll come out of it. And we're like, yo, that shit was so good. We should put it out there.
For real.
And so like we'll put it out on SoundCloud or whatever. And it'll get like literally like 500 listens. We're like, yo, that's a bad idea.
That's like that's a top 10 podcast right there.
Yeah. Also, that sounds like a previous podcast endeavor that shall not be named, when James and I were literally sharing one microphone like fucking broke boys. And we're like, oh damn, like the SoundCloud numbers are public. We need to shut that feature off immediately.
Bro, you should see the mic that Mike and Grassi bought, a fucking mic for podcasting. I look like Frank Sinatra and
just crooning.
So bad.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, fucking blue eyes.
Like, yo, should we break this out for these guys? I was like, hell no.
That'd be sick. Damn, shout out Mike.
Like
Mike's got the vision. He fucking knows. I know Mike's in the cut.
Looking like the fourth member of the Rat Pack.
Always.
All right, John, my last piece of constructive criticism for you. Obviously, NBA players love your shit. They are a built-in audience. I mean, it's just like, it's part of their life. Every night you're going to see a fucking baller in John Elliott. You talk about developing the core items, pushing the frontiers of the new shit. Why don't you launch a little sub brand, John Elliott Big and Tall, exclusively for NBA players?
I mean, so like, I will say a lot of our core items, they come in I think like, I don't even know. It's like 5X or 6X. And
by design.
No, well, I'll be honest. I was on the site one time and I didn't even realize that we were doing it. So I called Aaron and I was like, yo, what the fuck is this? And he's like, oh yeah, I had Nobu grade up the Escobar sweats to 6, like, basically
for
he did it
the
behind my back. And it flew under the radar and I didn't even know about it until I saw it on the site. And I think, we offer that right now.
Didn't you do some sweats with like a crazy, they were like stacked sweats that were like, what was the inseam on that? Like 47?
Oh my God. So we called those the keto sweats. I mean, honestly, you could stand on top of the table and hang them down. They were probably, I'm not even kidding, like 8 feet. Like, it was like just so ridiculous. And that was like, those were in the early days when
I remember
you're starting to get some
sweatpants.
You're starting to get some traction. You're really feeling yourself, and you're like,
"This is a good idea. This is a good one."
You go home, you're smoking weed, and you're like, "I can do anything." And then like some people like to see you push, and then other people were like, "Yo, bro, were you high?" And you're like, "Yeah,
100%." I mean,
don't worry. In 5 years, this player Taco Fall is going to come out, and there's going to be no break with him with this.
Exactly.
Getting high and having amazingly bad ideas is the perfect transition to the last piece of constructive criticism. Have you ever thought, we've talked so much about the villain, these icons that, you've built this entire fucking empire on. Have you thought about launching villain condoms with a side zip? So like super easy on and easy off. And it would be like a cool, stylish option for a guy like James who hates having protected sex because it's just not cool. But we could make it cool, I mean,
it's like a slap. It's like a slap bracelet. You just slap it on, and then zip, and then you're good. Zip, zip.
We've talked about collaboration. I mean, I feel like that one is like functional. Definitely makes sense. DNA in the brand. If you guys can
Trojan bang this man's line immediately.
Yo, if you guys can make that happen, just cut me a check. All right.
Yeah. Or you could just wear those fucking 8-foot sweatpants over your whole body, and then you're just fucking a human condom, dude.
Body condom.
Oh my God. Officially lost control of this.
John, well, perfect fucking timing because, thank you for coming on the only podcast that matters. Your time has unfortunately come to an end. We could keep going for like 3 more hours. I wish we could.
And we will behind the paywall.
We will behind the paywall. We have some content, bonus content for our best friends behind the paywall. John, if they don't already, where can the kids follow you?
Yeah.
What would you like to plug? What's your socials? Just the time is yours.
Well, first, I appreciate you guys. Like, long time coming. Obviously, I feel like we all kind of came up together. So, like, it's been impressive to watch you guys as well. And anybody who's fighting their own cause, like, much respect.
Respect. Thank you.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, just the website, our website, johnelliott.com, Instagram, John Elliott Co., 2 stores, 8808 Melrose, and then Miami Design District, new flagship. That's really it. And I think, I appreciate you guys and my squad.
Dude, you're a humble fucking legend, and we couldn't be happier to finally fucking host you on the only podcast that matters. Thank you, John. Appreciate it, dog.
Hit that motherfucking outro music, baby.
I used to pray for times like this, to rhyme like this, so I had to grind like that, to shine like this. In a matter of time I spent on some locked up shit in the back of the paddy wagon, cuffs locked on wrist. See my dreams unfold, nightmares come true. It was time to marry the game, and I said, yeah, I do. If you want it, you gotta see it with a clear eye view. Got shorty, she try and bless me like I said I chew. Like a nigga sneeze, nigga please for them trick and squeeze, I'm getting cream. Never let them hoes get in between of what we started. Little nigga, but I'm lying hearted. They love me when I was stuck and they hated when I departed. I go and get it regardless. Draw it like I'm an artist, no crawling, went straight to walking with foreigns in my garages of foreign bitches menaging, fucking sucking and swallowing anything for $1. They tell me get him, I got him. I did it without an album. I did shit with Mariah. Little nigga, I'm on fire. Icy as a hockey ring, Philly nigga, I'm flyer. When I bought the Rolls Royce, they thought it was lease. Then I bought that new Ferrari, hey, to rest in peace. Hater, rest in peace to the parking lot. Phantom so big, can't even fit in the parking spot. You ain't talking about my niggas, then what you talking about? Gangsters move in silence, nigga, and I don't talk a lot. I don't say a word. Was on my grind and now I got what I deserve. Fuck nigga. Hold up, wait a minute. Y'all thought I was finished? When I bought the ass tomorrow, y'all thought it was rented? Flexing on these niggas, I'm like Papa on the spinach. Double M, yeah, that's my team. Rose, the captain, I'm lieutenant. I'm the type can the men casting grind like I'm broke. That Lambo, my new bitch, she'll ride like my ghost. I'm riding around my city with my hands strapped on my toes. Cause these niggas want me dead, and I gotta make it back home. Cause my mama need that bill money, my son needs some milk. These niggas try to take my life, they fuck around, get killed. You fuck around, get smoked. Cause these Philly niggas I bought with me don't fuck around.